These are stories about murder.
Could there be a hidden clue?
Things that are exceptionally alarming.
Like what?
Just alarming things.
Because he's at the bottom of the ocean, every little sound is intensely magnified. He hears animals eating his friends and crewmates.
Oh my God. Instead of scattering ashes, he had simply dumped them in the parking lot. In Germany, before a royal court.
Thought she was Polish.
No, the magician is Polish.
This is 3 Shots In.
And today, we're talking about...
Hello, welcome back to 3 Shots In. I'm Jess. Jake is not present for this one. He's in Vegas, partying with my grandma for her birthday. A lot of fun. We wish him well. And by we, I mean myself and my 2 guests this episode. And they are sweet Samantha.
Hi.
And my father, Ryan.
Hey.
I'd like to give a thank you to our patrons for the podcast. There happen to be 2 sitting here at the table.
I personally love those people. Yeah.
They're all right.
They're amazing.
You guys are fantastic. And it's a good thing that Jake's not here because he would compliment you on your well-endowed body, undoubtedly. So today we took shots of CB Jackson, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey.
Yes.
I assume that means it's blended with bourbon and whiskey.
It's just what they call it. It's bourbon, but okay. It's a rougher version of bourbon.
Yeah. Sam, do you think you could, turn that around so it faces the camera? Overall, we were not a fan.
No.
It was not great. It had a tongue numbing quality.
Nose burning.
Yeah. And then a quality where it just leapt right up into the sinuses, similar to horseradish.
Yeah. I think when I was young, I think I would have loved it. But as a mid-ranged older gentleman.
Mid-ranged?
I like mid-ranged.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Mid-ranged older gentleman. My taste buds are more refined, I think now.
Matured.
They have matured and that is just a rough bourbon, right?
Yeah. The person that it was purchased from made, there was no mincing words. He was very, very clear about how cheap the whiskey was, but he said it was his favorite cheap go-to whiskey.
Got you.
So
that makes sense.
Acquired taste, it seems like, is the sum of what we're saying. Drinks. We just got some casual beers here, and then Sam brought her own favorite.
Mike's harder lemonade, black cherry today.
I see. So you decided to take it to the extreme. That's not just hard lemonade.
Harder lemonade.
Even harder. Wow.
Than regular lemonade, than Mike's hard lemonade.
She's a risk taker for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And you didn't just get cherry.
No.
It's black cherry.
Black cherry.
So
says
it's
a lot.
Hard and thick cherry.
That's Jacob's favorite too.
Yeah.
It is.
It is his favorite. All right. Well, it is now time to spin the wheel for the very first time.
The wheel.
Who would like to spin it? We've got 2 guests this time.
Ladies first.
Oh, I thank you, sir. I'd love to.
Go ahead and spin it, Sam.
Okay, here we go.
It was acceptable. It was strong. That was
wow,
good.
You didn't waste any time. That was very smooth. It was a smooth
Thank
spin.
you. I've done it. I am the first guest. I've been doing this a long time.
That's true. The most experienced.
Yeah. Most experienced guest,
I'd say.
Sure.
Well, wheel number 1, our first wheel spin, it is Would You Rather Worm Edition. I can only assume that means it's Would You Rather the normal way, but everything has to do with worms somehow.
I'm scared.
And the way we like to do Would You Rather, it's kind of a free-for-all. Whoever thinks of the first Would You Rather can just throw them out there.
Okay. Let's think of one.
I had a good one recently. It's ironic that we're talking about worms this time because I had sent in for the wheel a Would You Rather.
Ooh.
And it was, and I didn't send it in, actually. I thought of it on the fly because I'm really smart and clever, but.
So clever.
It was, would you rather have a spider's egg sac burst in your mouth or have a parasite lay eggs in the bottom of your foot?
Yeah, I think we all said, or I know I was on to spider burst in your mouth, the spider sac, and just
the egg sac in your mouth.
Just swallow them and
Sam,
be done with it.
You seem like you're just not sure which one is.
They both sound absolutely terrible.
Neither of them is the lesser. Are they?
I feel like the spiders, while it would be traumatizing, I could spit them all out, maybe swallow a few, but then it would be over. Versus like worms, like in your foot.
Oh yeah,
Like that's
Bottom
like a
of your
surgical
foot. Yeah.
go in. You got all this recovery time. Like it would be traumatizing, and then you'd also have to recover.
Right. My answer was spider egg sac in my mouth.
For sure.
Because that's much less invasive than being underneath my skin.
I'd probably cry after and have nightmares for a long time, but
Probably.
I'd rather do that than have the worms in my foot.
Okay. Well, that's would you rather number one.
Okay, so would you rather? Well, we're on worms though. So
Yeah.
would you rather, in 6 hours' time, drink the tequila bottle that has the worm at the bottom? Also, once you get to the bottom, you consume the worm all within 6 hours, but it can be anywhere you want in your own house, air conditioned, whatever. Or eat a taco, and the meat is worms.
Taco.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because it's a taco. So there's going to be taco seasoning, cheese, lettuce, because I'm American. So I'm used to like Taco Bell.
She does the American taco. Yeah, she does the
Sour
messed up
cream.
taco.
Even if it was not and it was authentic, like there would still be lime, like
Even better, there'd be
cilantro.
onion, cilantro.
That's true.
It would be
jalapeno,
really
all kinds.
flavorful. So I feel like the meat would be seasoned and I could just eat the whole thing really quickly and be like, yes, a taco. It's a taco. Yes, this is a delicious taco. And just
So that's your
trick
motivation.
my brain.
It would be over
Yeah.
a lot faster.
Yeah, like it would be over a lot faster and I could probably trick my brain into thinking like, yes, this is just natural meat, a source
Right.
of
You almost
protein.
swayed me. You almost had me. I was right there, but you know what? I want to know what that worm's going to do to me.
It's a bottle of tequila for me.
Yeah. Bottle of tequila, 6
Like-
hours. I think I can do it.
I'd like to think that if there was an apocalypse and I found this, I've got my garden, because I've learned to live off the land.
Right.
And I've learned to like cultivate worms or something like
Sure.
in my garden. And
Yeah.
there's like just a huge, variety of worms that I would be able to get them and turn them into food. And so if I had a lot of taco seasoning in the cupboard, I feel like I could make that work.
Yeah.
I feel like I could make that work.
And in
true.
apocalypse, of course, we're going to eat.
Yeah, we're starving.
Yeah, for sure.
So I can grab some fresh lettuce from my garden and then
So you and I are getting hammered.
Yes, only because this was not in an apocalypse type situation.
Right,
It's a one-time
exactly.
deal.
I don't want to get schmammered in an apocalypse situation.
I could still do that today because I have a garden and we are not in an apocalypse and I have taco seasoning. So still
So
applies.
you think you could season it to the point that it was just
it up.
undetectable worm
What about when they're moving?
flesh?
I mean, that didn't specify though, like
That's
raw
true. So they're
worm
dead.
versus cooked. Like I
Yeah.
I guess I go raw worm the whole way.
I might hurl while like chopping them up and stuff. And I'd feel so guilty because I'd be like the worms, like, oh, they're
Oh,
wriggling.
poor
Like, I don't know
worm.
if I would want them fresh, I guess.
Right.
So I'd probably want to, so I'd feel terrible. I'd probably have some tears. Like, I'm so sorry.
I guess, yeah, for me,
Then I'd cook
for
'em.
me, the go-to is the tequila because I enjoy tequila. I know for a fact I could whip that up, mix it up in some really good cocktails and have a grand old time for 6 hours straight. And then it's only one worm I have to eat at the end.
Just one. And it's so probably full of alcohol and fermented or whatever. It's not going
Yeah.
to be like a worm. It's not
a
going
good
to have the
point.
texture of the worm. It's
Right.
just going to be a crunchy little
Right.
mess.
I'm not scared of that. It's
Okay.
the tequila, which if you've listened to one of the early
Yeah.
episodes,
Yeah, I remember that. You had a rough time.
me getting drunk for the very first time,
But I also remember
on
that
air.
you vanished for a while and then you came back for a little improv, a little
bit.
impromptu. Yeah.
Like I kind of chimed in from the couch.
Yes, that's
you know?
true. Yeah.
But like the tequila, it was not a fun experience. I didn't expect it to be, and it wasn't.
Most of the worst stories I've ever heard with alcohol involve tequila.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't good.
Okay, I've got a contribution to the Would You Rather
Would you rather? Yes, let's hear it.
Worm Edition. It's a little weird,
Okay.
but just run with it. Would you rather get a worm tattoo on your neck or above your eye, like on your forehead type thing? You see what I mean?
That's it. It's would you rather one of those.
Yeah.
Neck.
Yeah.
Tattoo.
Neck. And I would just say it's a snake. Okay. It's not a worm.
It's very clearly an earthworm. Where do you want it?
Yeah. I would
It'd
choose
be
the
neck. I could, maybe I'd grow my hair out. No, I wouldn't grow my hair out. Fuck shit.
Wait, I want a picture.
Yeah. No, I can't. I haven't had long hair since I was in 7th grade.
Is that how long it's been?
Yeah, I cut my hair in my 8th grade. I cut my hair because it's sports.
Right.
And then once I went in the Marine Corps, I've had a shaved head.
Oh, yeah.
This is a lot. I'm a hippie right now. I'm a chia pet. It's
You should
disgusting.
see him once. Yeah, right now with his hair this length, especially in the heat, he gets real whiny. That it's too insulating. He's sweating more.
So you would be a goner with this.
I would eat my gun if I had to walk out into the heat. I don't know how y'all do it.
This is basically, it's like a scarf around our neck.
Yeah.
Okay. Another weird one. Would you rather have...
Wait. Where are you getting the tattoo?
Yeah.
And where are you getting the
need to
tattoo?
answer.
I said the neck.
Fine.
I said the neck, but I didn't say what kind of worm. So
No, she said it's an earthworm.
It is
We don't have a
clearly an
choice.
earthworm.
that's fine. I would do the earthworm from James and the Giant Peach. He's got those shades on.
Yeah.
And he's hilarious, and I love him. And I would get him and be like, yeah, he's from James and the Giant Peach. And everyone loves that movie. So they'd be like, oh, and they'd love it.
I would also do...
You'd have to defend yourself. Everyone would love mine.
I'd do the neck tattoo as well. I just thought that would be an interesting question to see how everybody felt about face tattoos.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
Not a fan?
I would never get, I don't think, a tattoo on my neck. But
I don't want neck or face tattoos.
But I guess that's why I asked the question is which is
I don't
worse,
want
neck
one on
tattoo?
my eye.
But you could do a small one over there. Maybe grow your eyebrows.
Like, are you talking about above the eyebrow? Or like
It would just have to be somewhere
the
around your eye. You could position it wherever you
I
want
do it on the neck. Because then if I was doing, like, I do a lot of costumes, I feel like I would be easier to cover up.
You just
Like makeup or something.
You'd become a turtleneck wearer.
No, I wouldn't. I'd rather show the tattoo off than wear a turtleneck.
I think you could rock a nice turtleneck.
Thanks.
Personally.
Yeah.
I just feel like they're choking me.
Yeah.
I would pay money to see Dad in a turtleneck.
I would also pay money to see you in a turtleneck.
I can show your father in a turtleneck in a bar in the Marine Corps.
I would love
No.
that. Don't tease us.
It was a cold. I'll find it.
You
I
probably
need
look
to
like
see
a
it.
cool sea captain or something.
I feel
I
like
don't know. I don't know about
more
that.
look like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo
No.
in a turtleneck.
But I was Marine Corps, so I was pretty yoked. I was pretty big.
No, but you were yoked, but you
Cool
were
sea
really
captain.
thin yoked.
Yeah.
Like you were very lean.
Yeah.
And so if you were wearing thick material, it wasn't obvious that you were muscular. You were thin.
Still,
I don't know.
I think
don't
you
know.
can. I think
Yeah, we'll
you
see.
look
I'll
good.
find the picture. You
find
make
a
the
photo
decision.
and we'll make the
all right.
decision.
My next one, my little off the wall worm edition. Would you rather? Based off of Dad being so opposed to having long hair, would you rather have worm length hair on your head
Okay.
or on your groin?
Oh,
Sam already has very long hair on her head. So do I. So I think it's clear what our answers are. Dad?
I'd have to put it on my head. I like to be manscaped. So
yeah.
All right. How would you style that hair?
Yeah, would it be like
Would be
short worms?
down to like your nose, basically.
yeah, it would be
dreadlocks?
slicked back.
Bowl cut.
Yeah, slicked back, shaved on the sides.
back.
Yeah, and slicked back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
And I would be miserable the rest of my life with that hair.
Okay. Would you rather eat a worm salad or a worm soup?
Worm soup, I think.
Really?
I think soup. You can make any.
like you can
make
hide it in a soup.
Yeah. Yeah. No, is it cut up or is it a slippery little?
They are left long like noodles.
I would just treat it like there's some noodles, Thai noodles or whatever that you can then just kind of think it's those noodles or whatever.
Nope. I change it to salad because I'd want something crunchy in there to distract. Because in a soup, like that texture of
That's my thought.
And then like if you slurped them whole, I feel like I could do it. No, I couldn't. It'd have to be in a salad. It'd have to be in a salad.
Let's get off that subject. About to go. It's like nope.
Just personally, I'm very familiar and comfortable with slurping a whole worm. What? Dad?
We're good.
I'm not saying
Let's move on.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's
Worm
enough.
slurping.
I think that's plenty for the wheel.
Yeah, let's move on.
Allow me to move on
gross.
to my my contribution to the worm episode.
Yeah, and we get to see pics. Is this on the break or do we get to see them while you're talking?
They will be as I'm telling these stories.
Very cool.
I will definitely share these pictures.
We're gonna have to show our reaction to those photos. So
It's very important to me that you react to these photos and that everyone see as I'm telling these stories.
I can see some pretty horrific stuff and
me
not show
too.
too big of a reaction, but
Yeah.
So what I decided to talked about it a little bit on the Instagram Live. You should definitely join those. We go live most Fridays. You should join us.
Lots of fun.
I agree.
Friday afternoons, Central Time. Anyway, I decided to talk about parasites. You know,
Ew.
you hear the word worm, and I thought about tapeworms and ringworm and all that gross stuff.
All the nasty stuff.
All the nastiest things.
So you thought about like worms like that can harm you like in your body?
Yeah, I did. Yes. And that just led me to an entire list of parasites, most of which are worms, but not all of them are.
I mean, they basically are. They look like it. So
Not this first one.
oh no.
We begin with the tongue-eating sea louse.
That already sounds horrible.
Ew.
Scientific name because why not?
Yeah, let's hear it.
The the bourbon whiskey. It's
Did you feel confident when you first
challenge.
saw it?
I was extremely confident when I wrote these
Just
notes.
say it confidently. That's what Jacob says. Say it
The
confidently.
Symathoa exigua.
Sounded good.
Okay, I'm into that.
If that was wrong, I would not know. It sounded really smart.
You have the
you.
perfect audience to,
I appreciate
Yeah, just
it.
move
get
on.
by it. Yeah.
Hey, what do you mean by that?
Are you trying to say no one who watches this
Saying
podcast
we're
is
both
educated?
perfect.
Oh,
Oh,
That's what I was saying.
okay.
good save.
Don't read into
Good
it.
save.
Right. So the tongue-eating sea louse. It makes its home inside of a fish's mouth.
Oh, I was picturing like a human mouth, and I was like, oh no.
That would be horrifying. But
Still
no,
gross.
humans are perfectly safe from the tongue-eating sea louse, thankfully.
So much better.
It lives in the ocean.
Okay.
Its target is ocean-living fish. As the name would indicate, it consumes the tongue of its victim, then attaches itself to the remaining stump and effectively functions as the fish's tongue while it feeds on its blood and mucus in a gruesome symbiosis.
So the fish can still eat and survive
Yes,
while
it-
it's
also,
feeding on the fish.
Because the sea louse attaches itself to the stump that remains, the stump will still move and the sea louse will move as though it were the tongue.
Wait. Is this just like you were talking about a couple episodes back where like with Alien, where you've got the little tiny one inside the mouth? So like is the tongue worm like now getting the leftovers, just like the tiny mouth inside
So
the
the
xenomorph?
description I read specified that it feeds on the blood and mucus.
Oh.
So as it's in the mouth, there is a sort of symbiosis taking place. It will assist the fish in eating as though it were the fish's tongue, and it will eat the fish's mucus as it consumes and the blood of whatever it does consume, as well as the blood of the fish itself. Here are some pictures.
Oh, so the face is facing outward, like out the mouth.
It is very clearly a living
Whoa.
organism inside the mouth of the fish. People
Poor
have,
fish.
so the very last picture, people have caught them and found them inside the mouths of the fish.
I'd throw that fish back. I'd be like,
Yeah,
nah,
that's-
see ya.
that's nasty,
Right?
That, or I'd want to put the fish out of its misery.
right?
Right.
Yeah, so it's like, the creation of the world and whatever. It's like, why did he create that?
Why did you create this thing?
Yeah, why did we do that?
Interesting. Very deep.
Yeah, I don't know.
As I mentioned, the tongue-eating sea louse, horrifying as it is not a danger to humankind.
That's
Which is
relief.
That's a huge
That's good to
relief.
know.
That is a huge relief.
However, everything else on this list is. We move on
No.
to the loa loa, also known as the eye worm.
No.
And I have a picture.
Is that as bad as it sounds?
It is
It is
exactly what you're
absolutely
thinking.
What you're thinking.
It is 100% what you're thinking.
My
It is,
eyes are already bad.
well, it is most common in West and Central Africa. The larvae of this nematode worm infect humans through fly bites. Symptoms of this worm include itching and swelling, even brain damage in very uncommon cases. It can travel through the body's tissues for years on end, but it earned its namesake by ending up in the eyes of its victims, which is when its presence is impossible to ignore. Not only can the worm be seen, but horrifically, it can be felt by its victim as it squirms across the soft tissue beneath the cornea.
No.
If and once the worm reaches the eye, it is fairly simple at that point to remove under local anesthetic, but it is horrifying to behold. Sam, would you like to see?
Yes.
Dad.
Oh my
It's
God,
so
that's
long
rough.
and like milky colored and really thin.
It is much larger than you would have thought, but
Yeah, really.
all of these pictures, by the way, folks, will be put up I don't know if I should put them on social media. Are they graphic? Kinda.
You found
You
them.
can put a warning.
You can put them up there.
Just put a
If
warning.
not, put them on your Patreon, and then they have to.
Yeah. Put it on Patreon.
Okay. They will be on Patreon. And if
on
you'd like to see it, I mean, it's a very,
It's cheap.
That's the juicy stuff.
yeah,
$5 a month. That's it.
totally. You should definitely join.
You should do it.
That is the Loa Loa. We move on to
It's disgusting.
a different but equally as horrific sort of worm. It's called the dragon worm.
Ooh.
Right.
Wait, it's equally horrific. Okay, go on.
It is. It has many names. Its other names include the guinea worm, the druncunculus. That means little dragon in Latin. Kind of cool.
That's kind of cool.
Say it again.
The dracunculus.
One more time.
Dracunculus. Do you want to read it, Sam?
No,
Do
I
you
just
wanna
wanted to
read it
hear you
yourself?
say it.
It's exactly how I'm saying it. Right there at the top.
She's right.
Dracunculus. I promise Jacob would do a much worse job trying to say it.
Oh,
course
if only I could hear that.
So, the dragon worm, it is caught by drinking dirty water containing tiny water fleas that have been infected with the worm's larvae. It can grow up to 1 meter long inside of the human body. It emerges eventually through the skin of the legs and or feet, causing a burning pain as it does so, which is why it is called the dragon worm.
Yeah.
And the only way to be rid of it, the only way to kill it, is to pull it slowly, gradually out of the skin. And in the places it occurs most often, typically this is done by wrapping it gradually around a stick
And
until
just
eventually
slowly.
you've reached the end of the worm.
I think I saw that on a TV show once.
I have a picture for you.
Wait, where's this from? Like, are we
nasty.
safe here in Texas?
I believe so.
that?
It's
Probably-
called the guinea worm. I assume it is in Guinea.
Yeah, it's probably
Let's just
in that
pretend
area.
that that's where it is, so that I don't have to think about getting that
Okay.
here. And
The picture I showed them, by the way, was of it protruding from somebody's foot.
let me see it one more time.
Yeah, it's a big one.
It kind of looks like flat spaghetti.
Yeah, it's really flat.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of that little strip that you pull off of a gun wrapper. You know, the part that's really easy to like
Yeah.
open the wrapper. It's that little tab. It looks like that.
A little bit.
That's
Yeah.
gross. Did it say how long they get?
1 meter.
A meter?
It's a
3
little over
feet
A little
long.
over 3 feet. Yeah.
That's terrible. And with those kinds of things, like the reason why you have to do it slowly wrapped around like a stick or like a pen or something is because they usually, if you do it too fast, it can snap off and go
It
in
could
and you
break.
lose it. You
Yeah.
break it and you lose it. So you have to do it really slowly so it doesn't snap. Oh,
Nasty.
Ah,
Ew.
yes. Yes. Exactly the effect I thought that would have.
ew. Ew.
Next up, the Vandalia cirrhosa, aka
Nice one.
the vampire fish.
Ooh.
It's actually probably one of the worst on the list.
You said fish. I thought it was worms.
Eh.
This is very worm looking.
Like,
Okay.
It has been mistaken for a kind of tiny eel,
Okay.
but it is technically, scientifically, a fish. So the vampire fish, it is a tiny leech-like fish found in the Amazon. It usually swims into the gills of larger fish.
okay.
It hooks itself in with barb-like spines and drinks their blood, but according to locals, it also swims and lodges itself into the orifices of humans. Orifices such as the anus
Yeah.
and the male urethra.
Wow.
Male specifically. It becomes bloated on the large amount of blood inside its human victims. Typically, it dies wherever it has latched, after which it can only be removed surgically.
So it doesn't just fall out or anything.
No,
Nasty.
it might when it's the fish, but it said specifically when it latches onto a human subject or victim, I guess. It dies from the just over bloating.
Yeah.
And it doesn't fall off. It remains. You must surgically remove it.
Does this go, like you said, usually with males? Like, does it happen with us females at all?
So it said when it does lodge itself into the urethra, it is because it swims up the urine stream.
So if you're just chilling, like
Yeah.
spread eagle in like a lake or something.
It's probably like that hole's too big. I want a smaller hole.
For
It's
for us females and our anatomy, there is, for lack of a more delicate term, a curtain that may protect us from such assault. For the males, though, there is no such curtain.
Some males have a curtain.
I guess that's true.
They do have a curtain, but that's nasty.
True.
And I have pictures here of the smallest subject I was able to find and the largest of this leech-like parasitic fish. And also an example of it inside a fish's gills.
Oh my gosh. That does not look like what I was thinking. They're more so colorful.
It's not very imposing in appearance.
Like I would think, like, look at this cute little minnow or something.
I could totally handle that in my urethra or whatever it's called.
Could you handle the surgery that would remove it?
No, I wouldn't want to do that.
After its barbs are inside your penis hole?
Yeah. The barbs. And then you have to walk around with a dead one until you can get the surgery.
Yeah, that's nasty.
Yeah, that's pretty gross. Pretty gross, Dad.
Yeah.
I thought when you meant like the smallest specimen, the large.
You were thinking a small penis and a large. Of course you'd go there.
Here I have
Jessica.
the smallest kind of penis it will swim into.
I don't think I want to see that.
But she goes, yeah.
No, I didn't. I was like,
You're like, Jessica,
I don't want to see it.
Jessica, there's no leeches in there. I know, but this is the smallest kind of penis I can
well, that's what I thought you were talking about. I was like, okay.
No, silly goose.
You turned around. I was the fish. I was like,
all right. Last on the list. This is arguably the most horrific. I thought the penis hole one was a little more horrific. I will say, though, that this one has the potential to have the longest lasting side effects.
oh no. Okay.
The pork tapeworm.
Oh, tapeworms.
Yes.
Those are nasty. I don't know a lot about them, but I know they're bad.
So I'm going to show you a picture first.
Okay.
Before I get into exactly what it is you are seeing. Okay. I'm just going to make sure it's scrolled at the bottom so that you cannot see my notes. Okay.
Okay.
Here are some MRI images.
What am I looking at? Wait, are those each?
Every white dot
Oh my gosh.
is what is known as a larval cyst.
So basically,
Oh my God.
you'll
That
hopefully
guy's
see the
covered.
photo later, but that body is riddled with them.
Yeah.
Riddled.
In the brain,
Oh no.
in the esophagus, every muscle in the
So is that guy dead
That's
or?
terrible. That's terrible.
It is treatable. It's horrific to behold, but it is treatable. What you are looking at is an 18-year-old boy who presented with headaches, vomiting, recurrent seizures, and altered sensorium. So his vision, his sight, taste, touch, and smell were all wonky, not perceiving correctly. He had also extensive muscle hypertrophy. That means swollen muscles.
Okay.
They diagnosed him with what is called disseminated cysticercosis.
Nice.
Thank you. Now, cysticercosis is a parasitic tissue infection caused by, like I said, larval cysts. These are the larvae of the tapeworm called Taenia solium. That is the pork tapeworm. Now, disseminated cysticercosis is a very rare form of cysticercosis in which the larval cysts spread throughout the entire body. There are fewer than 50 cases of disseminated cysticercosis reported throughout the whole world.
Wow. Only 50?
Only less than 50.
Less than 50.
Is there a location in the world where they're more prevalent?
Yes, sir. So
Where's that?
it can occur worldwide, but mostly this occurs in places with very poor unsanitary living conditions. So those can include North Korea and other impoverished areas in Asia, Africa, South America, those types of places. This specific tapeworm can get up to 5 meters long. Now, that is huge and impossible to
That's more than
miss.
15
Wait
feet.
a minute. So if you're riddled with those things.
What you were seeing in the MRI images
That was
were
the
the
larva.
eggs.
So wait, if they open up in the body, each one of those can become, no.
Yes, they can.
How do you die from that? I feel
I'm
like you
not
would.
sure.
Well,
I feel like you would.
This specific person you're seeing in these images did not die from it.
So they were just alive, but they couldn't move. They couldn't do anything because their body
They were still in larval form. So the cysts were formed by the eggs themselves. And a lot of his symptoms were a result of like pressure on his nerves and like the space the physical space taken up inside of his
so
muscles. Right. Because it is so extensive. So after 6 months of treatment,
Okay.
every living thing every foreign body, I guess you would call it, was killed.
Okay.
And his symptoms ended, including the seizures.
Oh,
So it took 6 months of treatment for that to happen. However, the cysts themselves are so extensive and there are so many, and it would do so much harm to his muscles to remove them surgically, every single one. They had to leave them in. So his muscles will perpetually, his entire life, feel the effect of the space taken up, of them being physically under his skin inside his muscles.
So he can feel it
He
under there.
will be always bumpy
That's nasty.
that way.
But he can like live a normal life and walk and
Yes.
talk and eat and all that.
Yes.
I mean, that's good. I mean, it still sucks, but
Yeah.
left untreated.
You're going to die, I'm
I
sure.
mean, you have to, because I mean, if you're that, handicapped from just the larva.
Right.
And if those things can, what did you say, 5 meters?
Yeah.
The worms themselves can get up to 5 meters long. I didn't see anything about how they actually exit the body.
Right.
Usually when this happens, the effects of all of this specific thing occurring, cysticercosis typically happens in your brain, not throughout your body this way.
Okay.
And because it's in your brain, the symptoms are noticed fairly quickly
Right.
and they're able to handle them.
Okay.
So I have not seen what happens when these eggs hatch or what that effect sort of is. The eggs, though, can be passed pretty easily in these very poor, unsanitary living conditions because the worms grow to be incredibly long, but the eggs are microscopic, cannot be seen at all.
Microscopic eggs?
Microscopic.
That's
Yeah,
gnarly.
That's nasty.
That's gnarly.
It's rough.
So did you have a hard time researching all this?
Yeah, I was incredibly itchy the whole time. I was constantly scratching my arms and legs. 'Cause
Every
it was just
little
so gross.
tickle, a hair on your arm, you're like, it's a worm.
Yes. Yeah.
And now this we're gonna get some weird thing and be
no.
like, oh, it's a worm.
It's a
You
worm.
got a
Every
tapeworm.
single
Pop,
time.
you got a tapeworm.
I'm going to text you at like 3 a.m. and just be like, thanks, Jessica.
Just so you know, the length of the pork tapeworm, you said was probably like 15 feet, was like 5 meters.
So 5 meters is gonna be like 15, 16 feet.
That was not the largest tapeworm
Oh my word.
on record
What?
right now.
Well, they're so small they can just whine and whine and whine.
Because if you think about it, we learned in school, our intestines are extremely long.
yeah.
Like
Definitely.
very, very
They're
long.
going on top of each other. So yeah. Ugh,
Yes.
that's
That was
nasty.
gross.
I'm all done. That's the end of my notes.
New fears unlocked. I didn't.
Just makes you happy you're in America.
I knew about
Right.
tapeworms, but not to that extent. And I definitely didn't know about the other ones.
Yeah, that's rough.
So thanks so much, Jessica.
That is rough.
You guys are so welcome.
Thank you. Yeah.
I just thought that was a nice way to bring us in to this wormy episode.
Jacob would have especially liked the ones that
foot one, right?
The ones that came out the foot specifically.
The dragon worm.
When I was playing around with research yesterday, while I was here waiting to take you all to sushi,
Yeah.
I found a bunch on sushi.
Oh yeah, I knew that
And
one.
I was like, nope, I don't even want to see it.
That's another reason why I don't like the taste of sushi in general. I've tried a lot of different kinds. I just don't care for it. But that's another reason. Like anytime I would think about it, I would come across some article that's like another person
Yeah.
riddled with,
Something to consider.
worms.
When I found this picture, it was on Reddit, and the title of the picture itself on the Reddit post was patient infected with larval cysts as a result of eating raw pork.
Yeah.
And when I
read that.
actually did research on it, it was not that simple.
Oh, really?
It was not that simple. So raw pork, yes, is sort of the catalyst. That is how you can actually get a tapeworm.
yeah.
But it has nothing to do with having the larvae in your muscles this way.
Okay.
The way that happens is, once again, to be delicate, people infected with a tapeworm not washing their hands
Okay.
and handling food
Raw, right.
or the waste of someone who has a tapeworm being improperly used or ending up in a very unfortunate place. That specifically is how
That makes sense.
that happens to people.
I thought I remember seeing, I don't know if it's a myth or, some, TV magic, but I remember tons of times coming across videos online where it was like, this is, rancid meat or low quality meat that wasn't, it was
Treated
didn't come from
properly or-
didn't come from a good animal. Like it was an unhealthy animal. And then it was basically like cut up pork. I've seen cooked pork, but then also like specifically raw pork, and they had it cut up like you would just prepare to eat, but they put it in a bowl and then poured like Coca-Cola in it or something. And then all these little like worm parasites came out of it. And I don't know if that was real. So take it with a grain of salt. But I remember seeing that in like, I think it was the early 2000s.
Right.
YouTube was just starting, get really, really big on there. And I remember seeing that and thinking like, I don't think I'm a pork person. And to this day, I don't really eat pork because all I can think of are those little worms that I saw, whatever it was.
All that to say, because it said it was that specific like condition of the mussels being taken up by the eggs and stuff. Right. They said that was a result of eating raw pork. And like I said, that was true, but there were so many steps in between it. Right. Someone commented underneath it. It was someone from Germany, and they brought up that in Germany there is a kind of food that is very popular with Germans, and it is raw pork, but it's kind of like a raw pork, like minced pork jelly. And they said, I've never been infected with anything that way, and neither has anyone I've ever met in this country who's eaten that. And it's because of the meat being treated properly. Right. And then the same with sushi. I saw recently that sushi, when it's, at least here in America, before it's served, it's frozen because the harsh cold temperature kills off anything that could be harmful. Right. So if it's treated properly, it's okay. Right. But like Sam was saying, sometimes that's just not worth it to some people.
Yeah. It's not worth it to me.
I would try the minced pork jelly in Germany. I would not.
I'll try. If I'm in another country, I'll try whatever I tried some horrible stuff in my time, but I've had some great stuff too. So
I would love to hear sometime about some of the horrible things.
Did you tell the story of the taco you ate in Korea?
Oh no.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one.
I think it was on.
Or you may have said it, but I don't remember.
You can retell it now for Sam's sake.
So basically, I was deployed to Okinawa with the Marine Corps, and then we did a mountain warfare package in South Korea. And our camp where we're at, there was a guy just outside the camp, and you'd go to him and give him a few bucks, and he'd give you these tacos. And I would watch him cook up the meat, and it was just whatever.
Taco's a taco.
Yeah. Or what I call them tacos, but he called it yaki mandu is what he called it. Okay. And he served it up in this like weird pita thing or whatever. I just called it taco. But anyway.
So it was like a taco or like a Greek gyro or something like that.
Okay.
It's hard to say. It's neither one of those, but
did it look delicious?
Oh yeah. And it smelled delicious.
Okay.
And so I ate it and it was delicious, but it would mess up my innards, right? But I was like, it's worth it, right? Worth the price of admission. So I had it, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times. And there was one time where I was getting to know this guy and we're getting ready to leave. And I asked him, I said, hey, he didn't speak any English. I didn't speak Korean. I was like, what is this? What is this? And he's looking at me and I go, moo, like I do the cow and I do other things. And he goes, no. And he's looking around and a dog crosses the street and he points to the dog and says whatever that is in Korean. I was like, oh, you're fucking with me, right? I started laughing. I'm like, okay. And he's like, yeah, whatever. So fast forward a year later or so, I'm joining a law enforcement agency and I'm in their academy. And I have a buddy named Kim who's from Korea. And so later on I said, hey, what's yaki mandu? And he said, well, here in America, it's any meat that's available to you. He said it could be cow, it could be mostly cow, pork, or chicken, something like that. Okay. He said it's how you prep it, it's where you get the thing. I said, okay, cool. I said, well, if I was in Korea, South Korea, what would it be? He said it could be any one of those meats. He goes, but more than likely it's going to be dog because they're in abundance there. And I was like, holy shit, I think I had dog. I think I had dog. Yeah. No. And they were good. They were so good that I know zombie apocalypse, Rex is in trouble.
Rex.
Your little pugs are in trouble.
Oh, man. So I will come for you.
There's a comedian, Bobby Lee, who was talking about this very recently, and his video about it just went viral.
Oh my God.
It might have been there's another podcast called the Whiskey Ginger Podcast. It's really funny. You should listen to it. But he talks about, because he's Korean, and so he talks about how dog meat is incredibly delicious.
Oh yeah. I've heard that.
Tender, high quality meat.
Yeah.
And I'm not positive about this, but I thought in South Korea, it's such a popular meat there that they have like a dog meat fair.
Right. No, I've heard of that.
To like state fairs we have here with pork and beef.
Well, and I think also it's the relationship to, when you're in a different country, like the culture is so completely different.
Right.
So the relationship you have with certain animals, there are certain animals here that we just think like we would never do that. And there's other people. It's like, people love snakes, but if you're out in the wild and you're starving and you come across a snake, it's like lunch.
Right.
The dogs for us in, America or, wherever else that, they value that relationship between us and dogs.
Right.
That's going to be something that would be very upsetting for us. But,
like it's super common here to eat cow, but there are places, people in
that
India,
they revere.
like where that is unheard of.
So
that does not happen.
understandable. So, but as an American, like that makes me sad.
It makes me so sad, and I definitely couldn't go.
Your mom has a funny story where she talks about her and her sister and her brothers were told they got a pet goat. They named it Barbecue.
This is so mean.
And so they watched this goat grow up and they would play with it and barbecue. And then one day, I don't know what the event was, but they're having food and it goes, hey, their uncle's like, hey, we're having barbecue. And they're like, oh,
barbecue.
What is it? They go, it's barbecue. And they're like, barbecue? Where? And they're like, what? And they're eating their goat that they raised as a pet.
Yeah. And their family thought it would be super funny to have them get very attached to this baby goat. And then once it grew up, serve it to them without explaining to them.
And they already had like some bites of it and enjoyed it. Oh, this is so good. And
right.
I mean, I know people who they have farms and they will raise like pigs and they'll say, hey, kids, their kids want to name the pig. It's like, hey, like we are raising them to eventually, you like bacon, right? Eventually we're
raising these
to bacon. So
raising these for me.
If you give it a name, you will form an attachment. So if you're going to name it, you need to name it something that reminds you of food so that you remember.
Oh, really?
And some people will do that. And it's like, they still care for it. They still love on it. But then when the time comes, it's still kind of hard, but it's like, okay, like they named it, bacon or something
pork
like,
and beans
pork belly or something like that. And then
apologies to our vegetarian audience.
do we have any of those?
I don't know. Maybe.
Hey, why is it blinking? Oh, it was blinking.
I don't know. The camera does that sometimes.
Oh.
Gotcha.
It's just saying hi. It's reminding us that
Yeah.
it's there.
But on the break, I'll tell you
Yeah.
one I had in Iceland, which was horrible. It was
Meat that
I would
you
like
had
to
in
hear that.
Iceland. That's a good story.
Yeah.
But let's go on break. Bathroom break, snack break.
Cool.
Everybody good?
Break.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys in a second. So I learned a new term. It's a modern term.
Oh, what is it?
The term is Frogger, used in a sentence. I discovered a Frogger in my house.
Okay.
And it's a term for a squatter.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Someone living there while you're living there.
Lives in your house in secret. And they make it's a point in their lives that they jump from house to house, sleeping somewhere in your house where you can't find them and coming out at night to eat your food.
Oh, I've heard of those.
Creepy
like
as
living in
fuck.
their attic or in like a hidden basement room that they didn't know was there or something.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
It grosses Terry out. There's a video online on YouTube, I'm pretty sure you can find, and it's of it's a woman who's living in the attic space of this guy's small apartment. It's like a 1-bedroom apartment, really small. And she sneaks out and she's obviously unbathed. How is she supposed to shower, So she steps out of his attic. The door to it is right above his dining room table. She steps out onto the table and she's so quiet. She pees in his sink on his dishes and stuff.
Ew.
And he had said, he puts a note in the video that he noticed his dishes were smelling really funky and he didn't know why.
Yeah,
and then, she goes over to his fridge and she starts snacking.
No.
She sits down on his couch and starts watching TV at a low volume. Bold.
Very bold.
And then it just so happened his apartment was so small, there was only one bathroom and it wasn't attached to his room. Which is I guess my thought at first was why didn't she just use that bathroom to piss? Why on his dishes? And I think it was to avoid flushing.
Right. She's not going to flush the toilet.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Right.
But, why
But if
not
she
go in
knows-
the sink in the bathroom?
Or in the bathtub.
Or wait till he leaves for work or whatever, and then go and take a bath. And
well, she probably does do that too,
right?
But she comes out at night as well.
Yeah, she was
I mean, it's not going to be nice to be cramped up in an attic space.
Yeah, she was the one that blew up the internet with that stuff, where he kept saying things were out of place, something was wrong, and so he set up a camera, and that's how he caught her.
And in the video, this specific video, I don't know, maybe we'll find it some other time. I'll show you. But in this video, she's there watching TV. She turns off the TV at one point. She's just kind of moseying around. She's in his living room, and you see her kind of jump and go and run and hide. And he walks out to use the restroom. He had no idea she was there.
She was a pro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was a pro. What do you call it? Frogger?
A frogger.
She was a pro frogger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think I had read like an article about it, and a guy was saying that he kept noticing like wrappers of granola bars and stuff like on his counter, and he eats those, but he doesn't leave the wrappers out on the counter. So he kept seeing like crumbs from a sandwich out on the counter, or those wrappers,
Right.
You know, or like an empty soda can. And he's like, I don't remember drinking that, but I must have, because like who else? And I think they ended up putting a camera up and noticed the same thing.
There's a thing too. I don't know. It's called frogging or frogger or whatever, but where people will go to public structures and find little holes and nooks and crannies and crevices and whatever, and try to find a place to.
What do you mean public structures?
So the one that I saw, there's two. I had two stories I know for a fact. So one was it was a mall.
Yeah.
And they're building the mall, and a guy who likes doing that started watching. You know, he would walk around the mall all the time and look at all the different things, and finally sees a thing where he's like, man, they don't know about this or whatever. And it kind of led into this weird area. He had to bring a ladder to climb on the thing, and he gets into a room where there's buckets of stuff where they left it there, but it's all enclosed in. And the only way to that room is the way he went. Whoa. So he was there with his, him and a bunch of buddies had TVs and all stuff in there for like, it was like a good month or so. And then they finally got found. A security guy saw him walking in there and followed him in, and then said, hey, you need to get out or whatever.
Oh, wow.
So there's this thing where people do that. They try to see, try to get into public areas or whatever. Yeah. There was a guy who he robbed. He decided he had no home, and he decided to go to like a Lowe's or a Home Depot, not one of those. It was some sort of big store.
Okay.
And he basically hid until the store closed down, and then tried to find, and basically found an area where he could go behind some big, the big warehouse type stuff, boxes stuff, and could get in the back, and then basically make a hole in this one area and get back to an area in the walls that was a huge area that was just a open space that's not used. There's no access. Right. He had the only, so he would break into the place, and that would be his home. He stayed there for like months, robbed a Taco Bell or a thing across the street. And he robbed like a bunch of places in that area.
Just went and hid.
And then would go into his little place right there. And that was for a while. And then he went on the run. They caught him. They didn't even find that structure until he caught them, or he was caught. And then somehow he dimed himself out. Yeah.
Cameras didn't catch him?
No, I don't know how he did it. I don't know how but and if you follow that line, there's people that do that.
Right.
Like finding places to.
They'll study where the cameras are so they know where to go. I think it was like a challenge where you try to stay overnight in a department store.
Right.
And so some people would hide in the bathroom, like up on the toilet seat. So people are like cleaning and stuff, and they would just move from stall to stall, and then eventually just run around, have a great time, hide again, and then like walk out once it's open. But the one that I saw that was pretty impressive was this, I think it was one or two guys who, you know how like at Costco or the other like bigger grocery stores, they have really big pallets of paper towels and like toilet paper. Mm-hmm. They basically, those are, packed in maybe 3 wide, and 3 tall. So they basically moved a couple of those packages out of the way and created like an empty space in between. And then they just like put in a sleeping bag and some snacks, and they had their phone, and they basically hid in there and like put the paper towels back. And it's 1 or 2 in there. So if someone grabs some, they're just going to see more paper towels or more toilet paper.
Right.
So they basically stayed there all night, and he's filming him in there and people walking by and grabbing paper towels and him just kind of filling it back in again. And he stayed all night. And then in the morning, he really quickly, once people are walking and stuff, like rolled up his stuff and then just kind of like crawled out, put stuff back and just walked out.
Wow.
In the movie, she's a single pregnant lady
Okay.
who doesn't have a job, can't find a good job. She's, super pregnant, concerned about raising her child and, her financial situation and whatever.
Yep, where the heart is.
She ends up living in a Walmart superstore
Yeah.
in one of their like display sheds. No one ever goes inside those.
No, she lives in like, she basically gets an alarm clock and a sleeping bag and like cushions and camps out in the camping section.
Are you sure?
Oh, I've seen this movie
Like in
tons
one
of
of
times.
the tents or
Like
something?
not in a tent. She just kind of sleeps over on the, like the fake grass where the camping section
Right.
is. She basically sets up stuff there. And then her alarm goes off. She puts it off and she puts everything back where it was on the shelf, goes into the bathroom, brushes her teeth and does all that stuff. And then she basically just hides in the bathroom until time
People start
things
coming in
open
and out.
and then she just walks out.
It's one of those, like when you watch it, they really play it up, like play up the drama.
Oh, yeah.
It's this really, like, it's like a Lifetime movie. There's so much drama in it.
So
but the
I love that
concept
movie,
is so funny. Sounds like something someone made up. Like, yeah, remember that movie where Natalie Portman is pregnant? She lives in a Walmart superstore.
She's afraid of the number 5. It's bad luck. Like all of the horrible things that have happened to her happened with the number 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's having her baby and she finds herself in like aisle number 5 and she's like,
Gives birth
I
to
gotta
her
get outta
baby
here.
on aisle 5 in the Walmart superstore.
she's like crawling away while she's like in labor to get out of aisle 5. They have a lot of weird names in that movie too.
yeah.
Like the guy she likes, his name is Forney with an F. And she names her daughter Americus. I told you, I've seen this movie.
It sounds like
lot.
a fake movie. It does not sound
really
like a real
does.
movie.
Is it a romantic comedy or what is it?
No,
romantic drama?
it's drama.
It's drama.
It's
It's
supposed to be funny.
supposed to be funny. But it is just because.
And it's Natalie Portman. She's an amazing actress. She could probably look like she's for real crying
yeah.
about like getting the wrong order
Oh, yeah.
at Denny's or something.
Right.
you
Like,
do
she-
feel sad. Like you watch it and it's pretty sad. Her boyfriend's like an absolute jerk. And so you're rooting for her and she just has all these terrible things happen to her.
Other than Natalie Portman's acting, it's absolutely hilarious. Worm, right?
Yeah. Silkworms. Make you
Tapeworms.
upset.
We just talked about those.
Earthworms?
Earthworms. Worms in your stool.
Ooh.
Muscles. Worms in your muscles and stuff like that.
Just worms in your body. Nasty.
Yeah. There's also a play on words.
What?
You can worm your way into someone's heart.
I was
Dad
just
brought
going to
that
say
up.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know who wormed their way into my heart with all of their good products and quality customer service?
Ooh.
Our sponsors. That's right. Tilted Tinker, Woodcraft, and Wizardry. We'd like to thank Tilted Tinker, Woodcraft, and Wizardry. They are a company that makes woodcraft products.
Like plaques with all sorts of hilarious sayings and coasters with sarcastic twists.
All of that dry humor is mixed in with Dungeons and Dragons accessories like dice towers, dice dungeons, and DM screens.
Everything is made here in the USA.
Yes, a family-owned business. They use American wood in American hands.
Nice.
They personally create all of their merchandise.
Yes, they are close friends of ours, but that's the most that we'll say. It could be anyone, but they're fantastic.
They are fantastic, and it really could be anyone at all. We own many of their products.
That's true. All of them are of great quality.
The greatest. You can visit their website at tiltedtinker.com, reach out to them at info@tiltedtinker.com. They are Tilted Tinker on all their social medias.
That's Tilted, Tinker. You should go and buy something from their website because they're awesome.
And they love us, just like we love you.
So here I was in Iceland, and I wanted to become part of the culture and try things and do things, whatever. And so it takes us into this restaurant, so to speak, and they say this is a delicacy. They've been eating this for years.
An Icelandic delicacy.
An Icelandic delicacy. So they served it
What
to
it was called?
I don't. It was some Icelandic, thing.
Yeah.
Some Viking sounding thing. I don't know.
Okay.
But so anyway, they didn't tell us what it was. They said what it was in Icelandic, knowing none of us spoke Icelandic. And they brought it out to us and they served it, and it looked disgusting. It was like in this little square thing. It looked disgusting. It smelled disgusting, and it tasted worse than what it looked and smelled like. It was horrible, right? So I'm trying to eat it. I ate like 2 or 3 bites, and they're kind of looking at us, and none of us really liked it. And then they said what it was, and they said it's a shark steak. They catch a shark off the coast of Iceland.
Okay.
They chop it up into steaks.
Yeah.
They wrap it in manure. They cover it in cow manure, fresh manure.
No.
Then they bury it 3 feet in the icy tundra, exactly 3 feet, and then bury it up with the ice and leave it for 1 year.
A year?
And at the end of the
entire
year,
year.
they harvest it, clean off all the stuff, cut it up into those little things, and serve it just like that. So they say that the manure cooks the meat because of the heat. You didn't know that.
No, I do. I'm just, my face looks like this because it sounds gross.
Yeah. So that heat and the whatever cooks the steak, and then it keeps it in ice for that long. So it's fresh or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they cut off the manure and
Serve
chop
it to
up
you.
and serve it to us. Yeah. And so I talked to my son who's in Iceland. I talked to him about that. He goes, "Oh, Dad," he goes, no. That's disgusting. The older generation, the generation beyond you is the ones who like that. We hate it. And I was like, okay, good to go.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So you felt validated.
I absolutely. It's
Ew.
disgusting.
That's good.
But yeah, so I tried a little bit of everything anywhere.
Ryan, did you hear about the time that I had rabbit at Ricky's house?
Oh, yeah.
No.
So
Rabbit's good.
Once upon a time when TJ and I were first dating, I would drive over to his house and we would hang out until late. I'm talking like 1 or 2 a.m.
And this is in Santa Clarita, California.
Yes, this is
Right.
in California. And Ricky and Kendall, TJ used to live at his brother's house, Ricky, who you all know. And he lived with them for a while, and they lived in this really nice suburban neighborhood. And so I had my own key to the house, and I would just, let myself out and drive home. Well, in the wee hours of the morning, 2, 3 a.m. or whatever, there was this little rabbit that would come out. He started coming out, and he got kind of used to my presence, like in the middle of the night, And TJ and I have this habit of, we see a cute animal, we just name it. Whatever comes to mind is what it is named. Right. So suddenly, I don't know if I had maybe thought of the book or something, but I just thought Herman Melville.
Okay.
That was the name. Herman Melville. And so I would see him every night, and TJ would see him, and we'd see him in the morning sometimes, but that was usually it. Fast forward to like a year later, right? And Ricky is getting into hunting,
Right.
guns, and he starts taking down rabbits around our church property in the area was kind of had a bunch of them that were destroying plants and stuff like that. And so he took a couple down. Well, this one day I come over and he's like, hey, he has this plate. And he's like, hey, taste this. And I was like, what is it? And he's like, just taste it. I just made it. It's fresh. Just taste it. So I taste a little piece, right? And he's like, take a bigger piece. I'm like, okay. So I taste it. He's like, what do you think? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I guess it's pretty good. It's kind of dry. Kind of reminds me of turkey. Is it turkey? What is it? And he's like, it's rabbit. And I was like, rabbit? Cool. I've always wanted to try rabbit. And he's like, yeah, I got it out from our front yard. And I was like,
It's
what?
Herman.
And he's like, yeah, there's this one that's been around. And I was like, Herman Melville? And he was like, what? And I'm like, the rabbit that I've seen for the last year in the lawn. And he was like,
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. And I was like, you just fed me Herman? And he was like, I'm so sorry.
What are we doing?
We're about to sample. Dad hasn't sampled
It smells amazing.
the 99 bananas.
So I'm gonna give it a shot.
Yeah, we had an experience. Jacob bought a bottle of 99 bananas, and it was like Frodo and Sam returning the ring to Mordor to finish that bottle and get rid of it.
I liked it.
Dad saw 99 bananas and didn't recognize it or remember that we'd tried it before and just
thought it was unique.
Just
I thought it
wanted
was
to
cool.
be courteous and, bring us a special gift.
And
And
I
so,
like to support the podcast.
right.
Yeah.
And here we have a brand new, really full bottle of 99 bananas.
Jacob's going to love
So good.
It smells okay,
It smells like banana Laffy Taffy.
but I promise it's torture. And we're going to take a little sample shot of it, a half shot of the 99 bananas. And then Sam really wants to try the salted caramel Crown Royal that Flash brought.
Yes.
And I'm going to do a half shot of that with her. Dad already tried it and hated it a lot.
Yeah.
Sam, I see you have your phone ready. Are you going to get Dad's reaction to
Yes, I
99
am.
bananas?
I absolutely am.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Here we go.
2.99 bananas. My son will love me for this. Oh, God damn. oh, God. I would rather. That's horrible. I'm sorry, son. I don't know where I'm sorry.
Sam and I are going to take these sample shots of the salted caramel Crown Royal.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I like that. I mean, it burns, but I like it. That's good, Flash.
No, it's not. All right. The break is over. We're all thoroughly broken from taking those shots.
Disgusting.
Although Sam seemed to have a really good time with that salted caramel.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Sex the sweetness.
Dad, would you like to spin the wheel?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good job.
Very nice.
Strong.
Fierce. Always a strong spinner.
Okay. It says here you've landed on in a real life tremors scenario.
Ooh.
Where do you shelter and how do you defend yourself? I assume
Wait
that
a minute.
means with a weapon.
Are you talking about tremors like those big giant worms from the movie Tremors?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. What was the question again?
All right. In a real life tremors scenario, where do you shelter and how do you defend yourself?
It's not so much sheltering underneath something so much as I feel like getting on top of something.
Well, I remember the movie. They had to go on rocks.
Yeah, they had to go
But they're
on
in the
rocks.
desert.
So we're in the middle of time.
We don't have a lot of
Yeah, where are we going to go?
Treehouse, right?
a tree up in a tree, probably, or on
You
a
could dig that out.
or on
The
a
roots.
lake. On a lake.
Do they not like water?
I don't
Tremors happen in the desert.
Yeah, they have. I don't think they go in the water. So maybe on a boat in a lake, but
Treehouse is my answer. That's where I'd shelter.
and what
Like
kind
a
of
big,
weapon?
elaborate treehouse with like bridges in between all the different, tree houses. And then how I would defend myself, I would say it would be crossbow for me. And I would find a way to make my crossbow bolts barbed in the Amazonian parasitic fish kind of way where they're backwards so that it could create some kind of like bleeding wound in the tremors worm and it would die eventually after so
bleed
many
out.
shots. Yeah.
I don't know if crossbow's gonna do it. I'm gonna.
It would at least hurt really bad.
I'll have a shotgun with slugs
Nice.
and a AR, but with hot rounds. But I mean, I don't think the AR is gonna do anything to
Yeah.
it.
Hot
But I'll
rounds?
do-
Aren't all the rounds hot
Well,
as they get shot out of a
they're
barrel?
like armor piercing and green tips and all this different ones.
Green tips?
If they were legal, I don't know if I could find some that were.
Possibly.
And then I would be taking that shotgun, that AR, trying to find a grenade launcher.
Ooh, that would be good.
Nice.
That would be good. Now, where would I shelter? I mean, my house. I'm dead in my house. They're gonna rip it apart.
Right.
But I think you can get on top of your vehicle too, right? They don't attack your vehicle or something like that.
They definitely attack vehicles.
Yeah, they do. They go in like houses and stuff like that. The floorboards.
Yeah, we're fucked in East Texas. There's no rocks. There's no boulders. Really.
Yeah.
We are hammered. here.
Basically, we have to cross our fingers and hope that by that time, Ricky and Kendall have finished their rammed earth home.
Yeah.
Sam, did we get your answers?
No. So the first thing I was thinking of was, so they're blind, right?
I
They
think
have
so,
a good
yeah.
sense of smell.
It's
And
movement
vibration.
That they find.
Yeah, smell and like vibration, right? So the first thing I thought of was that I would want to have like maybe like a bottle of alcohol on me at all time that I could like douse my scent so that they don't smell like, yes, human flesh or whatever, like animal or whatever.
They don't smell the organic
Yes.
lotion
Yeah,
the essential oils,
my jasmine,
the tea
infused lotion that I put on.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I would replace that with like some alcohol that I would like pour on my person.
So you're going to be really
Mask
ashy.
it, yeah.
You're going to be ashy. You're going to be non-lotioned ashy with no scent.
No, I have pretty nice skin. So it just, I would probably replace it with unscented.
Okay.
Maybe pour some of the alcohol in my unscented lotion. So
Okay.
it's like alcohol scented lotion.
Okay.
And then I would keep like a little bag, pocket rocks, a little like bag of rocks on me.
Sure.
So that in the event that one was close by, I could like toss a rock over in a different direction and like make noise far away from me so that they would go in that direction. So I at least had the opportunity to run away.
So Dad and I were thinking of ways to injure, permanently injure. You're thinking of ways
Survival.
to distract.
Yeah, distract
and get away.
Survive. And then I would probably use we do have like bows and arrows at home, and I have Sting Frodo sword, and it's very sharp. I would probably have that on my person. So in the event that it tried to attack me and it's like going after my foot or something like that, I could just hack and slash. I could stab it. And I think I'm with you as far as probably the best decision for shelter would be the property, because we would have all sorts of
Lots of trees,
earth rammed house. Like that would be good
boxes.
up on, and like we could survive there.
I mean, we got a bulldozer. I know the bulldozer, they can't get on top of that.
We could probably make some traps,
Yeah.
lure them in.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're prepared.
I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, we're set.
Yeah, I think we're going to
Not
be
Jacob
fine.
though. He's probably going to die.
Well, okay. That's wheel 2. Cool.
Very good.
We're all done. We move on now to Dad.
Mine are short and sweet. So worm, when you first said it, your father, when he was quite young, between the ages of 12 and 15, I was in a dance crew, and it was a breakdancing crew, and we were called the Funky Fresh Crew, the FF crew.
Yes.
We'd carry linoleum around and the beatbox and stuff like that. And
amazing.
Pop lock and all the stuff. And my specialty, we all did, the moves and the stuff like that.
Pop it, lock it, drop it.
Yeah. I don't know if it was called pop locking then, but it was something to that effect. But anyway, my specialty was the worm. I could worm forwards and I could worm backwards.
Wow.
And I could windmill. So sometimes I would worm into the windmill. Yeah, it's like where you're doing this and your legs are
like a helicopter.
That's amazing.
That was my specialty. So
that's cool.
And then I'm going to talk about the Mongolian death worm. So it is akin to
Is this a real worm?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's akin to Bigfoot and the Loch Ness monster, except
so definitely real.
Everyone in Mongolia on the Gobi Desert in Mongolia, so I think it's the southwest side or whatever, it gets rain 2 months out of the year, like June and July. It gets a lot of rain, and then it's desert the rest of the time. And it can be cold there as well in the wintertime. All those people swear by it. They will describe it. They said it. They've watched it take down cattle. It's taken down humans.
So it's like the chupacabra.
Like a chupacabra, yeah. Now, here's the thing. It was so substantiated and so validated in many people's eyes that they actually did scientific studies to find this worm. Because this worm was not only supposed to be, it was buried itself in the desert, kind of like these big giant worms we just talked about from Tremors, but smaller. So the smallest they said they've ever seen was roughly 20 inches long.
Okay. This is local people who insist
and the largest would be 5 feet long. It is about, they said about, I guess it would be bigger than like maybe 3 baseball bats in diameter if you put them together.
That's solid.
And some people say there's a clear head and tail, even though it's not exactly clear, but you can see like teeth and whatever. But most people say you can't tell where the head or tail is. They said it can spit venom, but it's also electric. So if you brush up against it, you can
like
get
an eel?
Like
an eel. Shocked?
Yeah.
Whoa.
There was a gentleman, Henry Clay something or another, who wrote a book in the 1920s and talked about this creature that was in the Mongolian steppe that these people talked about. And so from there, other people were like, okay, why did he talk about it? So over the course of years, all the way up to the most recent one was 2000 and I think it was 12 or 13. So there's been 5 or 6 times people have actively tried to find this thing, and they've flooded parts of the desert to try to get to come up, because it does come up when it's a lot of water. Done that. They've done areas where they've blown up parts of the desert to see if they could find a carcass or something of it. They've flown over many times, taken pictures or whatever, because the people from that Mongolian steppe say you will see, when you see the ripples in the sand, that's it moving. It might not come up, but that's it moving. But they said it hibernates for 10 months out of the year, which is another kind of a weird thing. And it only comes out June and July, which is the wettest season in that part of the desert, because it comes up for the water or whatever. So one story that I read with it that came off the one story that a dear friend sent to me. I went on the YouTube thing and I kind of followed some other ones. And there was a man who says he's seen it 3 different times. And he watched it take down one of his horses one time, so he knows to stay away from it. He said he saw it spit the acid in the horse's eyes, and the horse freaked out. And then it came and hit the horse in the leg, biting it or whatever, and then it shocked the horse to death. And then he took off. So he's saying they don't think they consume humans or horse or whatever, but it's just like if you catch them in a situation where they're afraid, they're going to attack,
react,
right,
and run off or whatever. So they're not hunting for you.
So it didn't take the horse with it.
No.
It just did it and then disappeared.
But they call it the death worm because it has acid, this poisonous thing that can blind you and also make you sick or whatever, but also can electrocute you to death supposedly, and that's why they call it that.
It sounds like a D&D creature.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. 100%. In fact, we will create it and we will make it. Yeah, we'll call it the something. I don't know, the worm, death worm or something. but yeah, so that's in a nutshell. The thing is they've studied that, and there's been, first it was cryptozoologists trying to find it, which are, suspect. Mm-hmm. But then actual scientists, 2 of them, one a biologist and something, and then another one was a zoologist of some sort. Yeah. They went heavy with a huge backing because there are so many. So you'll find Bigfoot sightings and Loch Ness Monster sightings, but so take however many numbers of those we have and times that by 10,000. That's the sightings that these Mongolian people that live in Mongolia have seen it. And they all describe it almost the exact same way. There's subtle differences between some of them, but I mean, they're so subtle that it's definitely talking about the same one.
So it's fairly consistent throughout.
Yeah. So they're still zoologists that absolutely believe it, and they're still trying to find this worm to prove it, because they said that they can see it could be an electric eel. There's a thing that's active there. It's called a sand boa, and that looks most like what people are describing. Mm-hmm. And so they're saying maybe they're getting it confused and whatever, but the sand boa is not harmful to us or a horse. It's not going to attack us. It's not going to attack a horse.
And I bet the local people are like, no, that's not it.
Right. They would say, no, it's a sand boa. This is a different thing or whatever. So they are adamant that it exists, and they all describe the same way. And you're talking hundreds of thousands of people that have said they've seen it, or if they haven't seen it, they know someone directly, like my daughter saw it and told me this.
Right.
Whoa.
Well, so it's kind of like sailors for a long time saying that giant squid were a thing.
Yeah.
Right. And we all laughed at them.
They're like a monster with all these arms.
Right. And then there it was.
Or the rogue wave, where they were saying this wave came from nowhere, and they're like, no, you were drunk. You hit a shoal, you hit a coral reef that you forgot was there. You didn't watch them, and they clowned them. And now we know there's rogue waves out there.
Well, thanks, Dad.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was great.
Simple, sweet.
Yeah, I liked it.
Well, Sam, it's your turn.
Yeah.
My turn. Okay, so funny story. So when Jessica invited me to be on the podcast a couple of days ago,
there was a little miscommunication.
There was a miscommunication. I remember her saying the word worm, but I thought she was describing the word for next week. Apparently it was this week, but I heard her say it's going to be gross. So I took that as, it's going to be gross, meaning the word this week is going to be gross.
She gave me such a confident look, and she looked at me and her brows furrowed, and she was like, I got it.
Got it. Yeah, no, for sure. Because
you trusted it.
Because you said, and you probably said it the correct way, but I heard worm, but then I heard it's going to be gross. The word, and so
meaning the topic is
going to be the word gross. So I did, you guys know, I print everything out. Everything's got it's like a cover letter, everything is printed out nicely. I spent all this time only to get here tonight. And as we're on the live, Jessica says the topic is worm, and she puts the camera on me, and I'm like,
what?
Completely taken by surprise.
That's the topic.
You should have heard her explanation for me earlier. She goes, yeah, Sam's going to talk about, and she tells me what she's going to talk about.
You're like,
and I go, how did she get that? She goes, well, she did word association.
I
Pop.
assume
She
she
was
did
defending
this.
you.
I had said, like-
She's like, she got from worm to gross and gross to this. And I'm like, that's bullshit.
No, I don't do it. TJ does a lot of word association.
Yeah. Sometimes it can be fun,
Jacob.
quirky.
Yeah. No, I usually take things pretty literally.
Yeah.
But no,
But if you go from worm to the space shuttle blowing up, I'm like, okay, how the fuck did we?
So
do that?
I had spent a lot of, I didn't have very much time this week in the last few days between work and everything, but I did spend what free time I did have researching and printing everything out, only to realize it's wrong. So I did look up some other worm things, but Jessica and Ryan decided that they wanted to hear some of what I had spent so much time researching.
Yeah, you put the effort in. Let's hear it.
So I actually brought two different things. The one that I think kind of ties along just because what you talked to Jessica. This one is just titled Ew, Gross. Because when I thought
Wonderful
gross.
title.
Yeah, thank you. When I thought gross, I thought of things from the past because I thought gross. Okay, I what am I going to research here? I thought of gross things from the past. So
The past is riddled with gross things.
And you know what? Actually, this actually fits. This is you worming your way out of the subject. Very well done.
Perfect. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right, let's hear it.
All right. So these are just some gross things from the past. So this first one, violent audiences. So you guys have heard of, throwing tomatoes at, like when a play is bad that they would
Cabbages.
throw. Yeah, like vegetables and stuff like
Right.
that. Usually like rotten.
Yes.
Well, apparently that was a very sanitized version of what actually happened back in the day. I guess before they would throw tomatoes and cabbages and stuff like that, but they also threw steel rivets, pig bones, and even the corpses of cats and dogs.
Oh my God.
Wow, this was your play. You suck. And they would just throw pig bones and a corpse of a cat maybe that they found or something.
I mean,
can you imagine that? You've just acted your heart out.
And they hate it that
And not
bad.
only did they hate it, but they decided to show you their hate by throwing a dead cat at you.
I could see throwing a dead cat at Nicolas Cage.
You suck.
That's sad.
There's some movies he's acted in that he's really good.
You hate however you want. I know for a fact you each have an actor or actress you would throw a dead cat at.
None.
They're that bad.
I don't think a dead cat. No, I don't think I'd ever throw a dead cat at anybody. If I think of one, I'll immediately interrupt whatever we're doing and say,
Okay. Well, we can move on.
okay. The next one is Roman toilets.
That's not what your notes say right there.
Well, I'm going to get there. Stop reading my notes.
Oh, fine.
Jeez, you see that? She was looking right over my
You
shoulder.
were basically showing
in
it. She
her
was like,
defense-
oh my God, don't read it.
In her defense, she blocks her notes when she's showing you stuff. So she was hoping you.
Which she doesn't have to do because I am not someone who goes.
It's not my fault that
reads her notes.
Your strategy was lacking and mine was.
I literally told you guys, no, don't tell me that story. I want to hear it later on the podcast. Roman toilets, also known as, if you would have heard that part if you just waited patiently, fire toilets.
Oof.
Gosh, Jessica.
That sounds horrible.
Right? So the reason why it was called that was because back in the day, obviously, plumbing, it wasn't around yet.
Right.
They were getting there.
Right.
But before that, they kind of had pots and jars.
Yes.
And apparently they wouldn't empty them right away like they did eventually in time. They kind of just left them in the room and people would just go to the restroom. And I guess the sort of methane that would build up.
Oh, shit. Literally.
They would, and those would occasionally, if they decided to put a lid on it and put it in the corner, oh yeah, we'll, have someone pick these up later. They would occasionally just erupt in open flames. Just
because of the torch in the room or the fireplace.
All the fart gas inside.
Yeah, someone came in the middle of the night with a torch, after.
Can you imagine it explodes and you're just covered in it?
Yeah, that would be terrible. Yeah.
Wow.
So they were also they hadn't figured out how to keep rats away. So once they did get like early plumbing installed, and by early plumbing, I mean sort of like wooden seats with holes, and they sort of made a
ramp.
Yeah, kind of, or like a cistern of some sort.
Yeah.
I guess rats would crawl up there. Like it would get so high that rats would swim through there, and then they would try and get out, which is through the hole. So I guess getting attacked in your nether regions was something that you could expect.
Right.
So in order to protect themselves from rats and like spontaneous combustion of these pots before, they would have like incantations, like prayers that they would speak, and also images of the goddess Fortuna to like protect you in the bathroom. So you would like say those prayers and
please don't let my genitals get bit off.
Fortuna,
Please don't let the explosion.
Keep my nunny from setting on fire.
Also, to go on with that, Roman laundromats ran largely on urine.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I guess launderers created the first public toilet so they could collect people's precious pee.
Yeah.
And they would also gargle urine for like the sake of hygiene. So that was very prized.
The world's first Listerine.
Oof. That's nasty.
It's gross, right?
It is gross.
It's gross, like I thought the word of the week was.
You did good.
Gross.
Way to worm your way out of it. I love it.
Yeah. So the deadly vomit trials.
What is that?
So how do you pronounce this word? Oh, it's in Madagascar.
Malagasy?
Oh, that sounds good. Let's go with that. We apologize for saying it wrong. The Malagasy people of Madagascar
Okay.
had a method for determining guilt. So this method was that you would swallow poison and also 3 pieces of chicken skin. Okay.
Okay.
And if you successfully vomit up all 3 pieces, then you are declared innocent.
Oh, I see. You have to vomit to be innocent in the first place.
All 3 pieces, not just vomit. Like you have to vomit up all 3. And the trial killed like half of those subjects.
Yeah.
Of course.
I mean,
I only got 2 pieces.
And in 1838, 1/5 of the entire like kingdom died, failing like the trial.
Damn. But I mean, if they're on trial, it's like, what do they do?
I know, right?
What do they do to get
But
there?
can you imagine? It's just about like if you're just lying, and they're like, we have to find out if you're lying or not.
And if not, you're dead.
But what if that was for something really simple? Like what? How badly did you have to lie in order to have to go through this trial?
it sounds like, what was that? It was like the Salem witch trials where it would be like, we're going to hold you underwater. And if you drown, then you're innocent.
Dude.
Or no, you were guilty. But if you get saved somehow, you're fine.
That's crazy that you say that, because the next one was hydrotherapy. So in 17th century Dutch practices, doctors held you underwater until you stopped struggling and tried to resuscitate you in order to shock you out of mental illness.
God, wow.
Like you have mental illness. Let's just like reset you real quick. And we're going to do that by drowning you and then bringing you back. And you should, turn it off and on again.
Yeah.
We think it's weird that you color coded your closet hangers. We're going to hold you under the water.
Nothing wrong with that.
And we're going to hold you under the water until you scientifically die. And then I'm sure you'll be fixed.
But what if you decide, okay, cool. And you go under the water and you just mentally tell you, like, don't struggle. Just remain calm. Do they do it until you start to struggle and then see? Or could you successfully like lie your way out of it?
I don't know.
Like wiggling your toes.
I'm sure there's people that can hold their breath for a long time. There was they just did a movie underwater. It was almost the whole thing. It was
Avatar.
Avatar.
It was Avatar.
And so they really did underwater stuff, and they learned to free dive.
Yes.
Fun fact. That stars Kate Winslet. Mm-hmm. She broke the record.
I was just going to say.
For actor who held their breath underwater the longest in the middle of like filming.
Right.
Amazing.
The person who held the record before was Tom Cruise.
Oh, wow.
And she held her breath for like 7.5 minutes.
7.5 minutes.
Moving on. Gross dentistry.
Okay.
Toothpaste apparently used to be made of lizard livers and mashed up mice. I don't know.
Where do they get these concoctions?
Maybe the grit of the bones and cartilage. I don't know. I mean, like
The livers, though?
Yeah.
I would like to know the history of
Lizard
these.
livers.
There's no bones and cartilage in the liver.
But in a mashed up mice, there are.
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know who thought that was a good idea. Like, hey, I got to brush my teeth. With what?
Did you say and mashed up mice?
Yeah,
or?
lizard livers or mashed up mice. So you could, maybe it was like a flavor thing. You could get either.
Liver's kind of chalky. Maybe it was that.
I haven't had liver, and I'm okay with that. I don't want to try liver.
Yeah, it's not good.
Apparently, dentists would also try implanting animal teeth to replace the ones that you lost.
That'd be cool. I would take some fangs from a wolf or something. Just
Yeah, see, that wouldn't be so bad if they had actually figured out how to make it work.
right.
You know, it's like they thought, oh, cool, I'll just pull out this perfectly good tooth and put it in and it'll grow and, it'll be great. But that didn't work. And, it left your mouth like an infected mess.
Right.
And so you'd have like open sores and would end up pulling out more of your teeth that were healthy in the first place.
Yep.
Another way that you could be punished by the Romans, they're very creative.
They're the ones that
Gotta
made
hand it to
crucifixion, right?
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
So interesting you would say that. I'll get to that. So this punishment from the Romans would leave you. So they would basically get a leather sack and they would put you in it with live animals, snakes, maybe dogs or monkeys.
Dogs or monkeys.
Yeah. Yep. And they would sew it shut, all you and the animals in a leather sack, and then throw you in the river.
So that animal's trying to get out of there and get alive and just
this
ripping you.
Clawing and biting
So
at
you would not only be punished, but then you would also be appeasing the gods.
Wow.
Crucifixion. So I guess they had execution plays where the Romans had a play where a character actually got crucified, and they would use a convicted criminal
to play the part.
Oh my gosh. I mean, kind of cool and ingenious, but
Realistic
horrible.
death
Yeah.
because the person's actually dying.
You're good acting. Yeah.
Yep. And if it was taking too long for them to die, they would just send in a bear to finish the job.
Jeez.
That's nice.
Well, let's not just stab a spear through his heart. Let's send in a bear to chew. Jesus.
Yeah.
They're horrible people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rome just sounds like it was a nation of serial killers,
Right?
a nation of sociopaths.
They came up some really amazing things, great Olympians, great fighters,
Right,
a lot of
right.
smarts came out of there, but also some pretty scary
Very
things.
unique methods of torture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the break, so that's the end of my gross things from the past. So once I found out that the topic today was worms, I immediately remembered, I think it was our buddy Fox that was talking to us. He came to visit recently and he was telling us about these hammerhead worms.
Which I've never heard of before.
Yeah.
Me neither.
So I'll show you a picture. They are
Oh, they look exactly
pretty
how they
long,
sound.
and they have a hammer head.
Right?
And they're in San Antonio
Oh, wow.
and
Not too far away.
extremely invasive.
5
Apparently,
hours away.
they possess like a type of like saliva, or not saliva, but something on their skin that if a small creature were to eat it, it could kill them. It's toxic. And if you were to pick it up like in your hand, it would basically give you like a rash, like it would sting your hand.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That,
Like corrosive mucus or something.
Yeah. So it basically is stinging on your hand, gets really bad rash. And if small animals eat them or lick them or something like that, it could, be fatal. And you can't just cut them in half because they regenerate.
so you just made 2 of them.
So you just made 2 of them, or it just grew.
A tiny hydra.
Right. And so the way that you kill it is you have to put it in, you have to pick it up with like a paper towel with some salt and then put it in a Ziploc bag with more salt and then close it up and then throw it away in the trash.
God, that's horrible. So it probably, the salt burns it to death. That's fucking horrible.
Right?
You couldn't just put it in a fire?
I mean, burn to death, acid to death,
Yeah.
I
guess they're both pretty sucky ways for a worm to die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, very good.
So that's my one
very
worm
good.
story. Remember earlier when you were talking about that fish that swims up in the nether regions?
Yes.
So I had read something like that
The
about
vampire fish.
yes. So I had read something about that recently, and it wasn't the vampire fish, but it was something similar. And I guess in ancient Egypt, that was a pretty common thing. So common that people thought that this was just something that happens everywhere around the world. And it was so common.
You end up with fishes in your wiener?
Yeah. And it was so common that it almost became, for like a short amount of time, a rite of passage to become a man.
Oh,
so
Lord.
you would kind of get teased if you didn't
Have a fish in your
and
wiener?
they kind of likened it to like a woman's menstrual cycle, to like, oh, if you haven't bled yet, like, are you a man?
If you don't
If
have
you haven't,
a fish in your
yeah,
dick,
yeah,
you're not really
at least once, then are you a man? And I thought that was really interesting.
by ancient Egyptian standards.
Yeah. It was just normal.
There's no fish in your dick, Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just a boy.
You're just
a boy.
a little baby boy.
Oh, boy.
Well, all right. It's
One more wheel spin.
Yes, it is time for the third wheel. Sam, would you like to spin the very last wheel?
Yeah.
Oh my
I
gosh.
just remember when Ricky
That was better.
almost ruined everything. Well, now it's ruined.
What are you talking about?
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not. Shut up.
Anyway, so what did it land on, Jessica?
The last wheel.
What is it?
You have to eat 1 pound of worms. How do you prepare them?
I know.
I assume so that they're the most appetizing.
So they're edible. So
no.
you would enjoy it. You just got it right off the bat.
Yeah, I got it.
I gotta think about it.
Okay, so you know when you walk outside on a hot day and you see all those worms burn to a crisp on your
So
driveway?
literally every day so far this summer in Texas. Yes.
every single day,
Yeah.
multiple times a day, and they go flat
Okay.
and crispy, right?
Okay.
So I would do that. I would get those worms and I'd find out some way for them to die naturally or like peacefully, because that's the kind of person I am. And then I would put them like on a tray, a baking tray.
Okay.
And I'd put them in the oven and let them like flatten out and
Dry
be
out.
Dried. Like, you know, maybe a
You
dehydrator.
dehydrate the
A
worms.
dehydrator would be a better option.
Okay.
Then I just recently got this seasoning from Hobby Lobby. They had like a little snack section, and it was this powder that you're supposed to put on your popcorn. It's sour cream and onion. So I would just toss those in the sour cream and onion. So it'd be like sour cream and onion chips,
Yeah.
and then
That's
just
just
crunch
worms.
them that way. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not enjoying the description of that.
I know, but I could trick myself into thinking like these are just chips. So these are just sour cream and onion.
You
chips.
inspired me. I too would dehydrate the worms, but then I would
Copycat.
grind them up into flour.
What are you gonna make?
I would bake them into like cookies and banana bread
Ew.
and stuff that would cover up the flavor of them.
I'm going to put mine in a wok
Oh,
on a grill. So I'm be outside.
yeah.
And I'm just going to let
Saute.
them go. And I'm put everything. I'm going to put everything I would like to put in a wok. Just all
Garlic,
kinds of
some
seasoning, garlic, onions, veggies, everything like a stir fry.
Yeah. I was just going on like a bed of rice or noodles.
Well, the worms are the noodles for me. So then I'm going to put in some sort of meat. So it's going to look like some sort of Chinese Szechuan roll.
Some type of like stir fry.
Right.
Yeah.
And I bet if I cooked it up with the oil, with all the things and add everything in there, I would be able to get through it and eat it. That's how I would do
I
it.
feel like they'd end up like really soggy bean sprouts.
Could be.
That's not
Could
bad
be.
though.
And worst case scenario, if it just gets bad, I would barbecue sauce the shit out of it.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Because
then,
I feel like there are a lot of vegetables that I don't normally like, but if you put them in a stir fry,
yeah.
they're amazing.
But here's the thing. I would never just do that. Like it would take,
A lot of ingredients.
hey, we're going to give you $10,000 if you, and I don't know.
But you got to eat a pound of worms.
Yeah. Something like that.
We'll see if it was in baked goods, where there's like so much sugar and butter.
Protein cookies.
That's wheat,
Milk and
though. It's like,
eggs.
that'd be easy.
Yeah.
Great. Then I'm smarter than you. And I'm going to enjoy my pound of worms, sucker.
Okay. Let's say you got to eat the pound.
Have fun slurping your
an
soggy
hour.
worms.
You got to eat it in an hour.
That's not what the question
Oh,
was.
in an hour.
Yeah,
My answer would have been
I'm
different.
pulling a Jacob move and I changed the thing.
That
And
wasn't
I
the
changed-
question, though.
Yeah.
So in an hour, can you eat all of that pound of worms and all
Okay,
the
so
cakes and
I got
stuff
it.
you make?
A pound of worms. I would want dried out, but not dehydrated. I don't want them to
Okay.
be crunchy, but I would have them
Kind of
made,
chewy.
mixed into other ingredients to make like a burger patty.
Okay.
And I would
Okay.
have, because I think the largest burger I've ever had was a half pound. Do they make a pound patty.
They
Now, are you
kinds
like
of-
chopping them up, or are they staying whole and you're just
No,
gonna
Put them
I'm mincing.
they're
I'm
going to be
mincing
like
the
in a
worms.
hamburger patty type thing.
Mincing.
Yeah.
You're going to add other stuff
Okay.
to it.
Other
Okay.
stuff to it as well. And I'm going to have 2 worm burgers.
That's
Yep.
more like it, Jessica.
Okay.
That's more like it.
That's hardcore.
yeah. Yeah. I
The
like it.
whole pancake one, banana bread.
Some say
that's
pancake.
bullshit. It's
It's not.
The bread
a
one,
pussy
the
move,
cookie
pretty
one.
much,
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to
Too
dabble
easy.
with banana bread.
I had a great time and you were gagging on stir fry worms.
This is warm banana bread.
Yeah, very good.
Awesome.
Good.
Well, all right. I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you did, feel free to like, rate, and subscribe on whatever platform it may be that you're using to watch or listen. Please share. Share with anyone you think would be a fan of our shenanigans,
Yes.
our banter back and forth.
Especially with the worms. Some biologists, a zoologist, cryptoologist,
Cryptozoologist,
Yeah.
perhaps.
a ufologist. I'm sure.
Yeah, all of the experts, the ones that the world takes the most seriously.
Right.
Visit our website at 3shotsin.com. There we have 2 links for you, which would support the podcast immensely. That is a link to Patreon and also to our PayPal single-time donation button. That's our internet tip jar. Give it a little visit. Drop us, a cool $5, a $20, casual hundo,
Yeah. If you got it
You know?
going on, sure.
just whatever. Next topic, the topic next week. You guys are going to help me choose.
So Jake isn't part of this?
He's not a part of it.
Very good. Let's do it.
I have 2 suggestions.
Okay.
If they're not popular with the 2 of you, you can decide on a custom one.
Very good.
Okay.
My 2 suggestions are squat.
Okay.
The second suggestion is egg.
I like squat. I think you can do a lot of fun stuff with squat.
Sam,
I mean, my first thought was egg, just because I like eggs.
why don't you guys Rochambeau?
Oh, I'm a master of
that?
Rochambeau. That's rock,
Rock, paper, scissors.
Okay.
Yeah. And is it 2 out of 3 or just first one?
First.
Kill. Okay.
This is
Ready?
the make it or break it.
Is it 1, 2, 3, go? Or is it
Rock,
on 3?
paper, scissors, go.
Then whatever it is. Okay.
Okay. What?
Like rock, paper, scissors, and then you show whatever it is. Okay.
Rochambeau. So you go. So you go 1. So rock, paper, scissors, go. So on the
Sure.
4th hit.
Yes.
Fourth.
Because I do it on the 3rd
Yes.
It's the fourth.
one. Okay. Sure. Okay.
See, this is why I asked.
Okay.
Okay.
Squat. It is.
I am defeated. I accept defeat.
The next topic is squat.
Yes.
I'm so excited. Jacob is going to be so pleased, I'm sure.
I think he's going to like it.
I think he will like that
Yeah.
one.
Thank you guys for joining, and
Yeah.
we'll see you again next time. Thank you guys for joining me on this recording.
Absolutely.
Thanks
a
for
lot of
having me. It was fun.
We love it.
See you guys next time. Goodbye.
Good night, everybody. No fish penis things for me. I've already had an enlarged vulva, and it was really bad.
So this is a reference to when he was hospitalized. He had just had surgery, and he got
It was
his
emergency, yeah.
He had his words mixed up
Oh, no.
and made a very unfortunate error.
My prostate enlarged or whatever, but I for some reason I thought it was vulva, they said. And so, mind you, I was in the hospital 5 days. I was in the ICU for 4 of those days, right? They were trying to figure out what was going on. When they finally figured it out, I'm laying there, and I had been telling people, they go, how you feeling? I said, yeah, I'm just glad my vulva is back to normal. And they're like, oh, okay. And so nurses and doctors are playing along with it.
Which means hospital wide, he was the vulva man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, did you see the vulva man?
Everybody.
That big guy? Yeah. Oh, he's vulva guy. Well, they all walk in. All my kids come in and they're all there and they're talking and they said, Pop, what happened? I said, yeah, I went through a rough patch. I said, my vulva enlarged and they spit coffee. They're laughing. So they spit coffee out at me. And I'm looking, I'm like, I know we're savage. I know we're assholes, but hey, I thought I was going to die. They thought I was going to die. It was bad. Right. And I go, guys. And then, Katie, who was my wife at that time, she said, she's laughing. And she goes and pops it up and she shows me, she goes, that's
This
a
is
vulva.
what a vulva is.
And I said, that's a pussy. And she goes, that's a vulva. And I was like,
That's what you're claiming you have.
I was like, whoops, I don't have a vulva. But now Jacob, every once in a while, how's your vulva, Dad? I go, it's pretty low key right now.
I'm pretty sure I've heard him say that, and I didn't know what he was. I knew it was some sort of inside joke, but I didn't know what it was.
You now have context.
I now have context.